started. Thank you very much to everyone who's joined. My name is Anna. I'm part of the team here at the Oxford Professional Education Group. Please could everyone note that this webinar is being recorded, so we can then send it out to you via email afterwards. So tomorrow you'll get an email from us with the recording. But don't worry, because it's a Zoom webinar, we can't see your faces or anything, so it's all confidential. You'll just see myself and Robin on the recording screen. So today we've got a really exciting webinar on ChatGPT and how to integrate AI tools as a marketing professional. It's hosted by the lovely Robin, who runs her own marketing and business development agency in Sweden. Robin, self-confessed Martech, I don't know, nerd perhaps, would you say, Robin?
Oh yes, I'm very proud.
And very proud of it. So if anyone's qualified for today's talk, it's definitely her. We'll have the presentation from Robin first, and then we'll have about 15 minutes at the end for questions. You can just pop the questions in the chat. There's also the special Q&A function, and we'll come to those at the end. And then, of course, if you do have any other questions, we'll put our details in the chat as well. But I'll hand over to you now, Robin, to take us into the world of AI.
Thank you very much, Anna. I am incredibly nervous, so if I look like I'm fidgeting, that is why. I'm very anxious being. So I hope you're all okay, and thank you for joining us on your very precious lunchtime to talk about this powerful tool that has taken up so much space on social media and our feeds recently. So let's chat about ChatGPT and also how to embrace and integrate AI tools as a marketing professional. So who am I? As Anna said, I'm Robin. I'm a self-progressed nerd and co-founder of the EXP Blueprint. My education is based within data and computer science and marketing. I moved to Gothenburg maybe 5 years ago now. And I actually, within that time, have studied my PhD in data science with a MarTech emphasis. And I am often seen at data conferences such as MeasureCamp, which I actually highly recommend if data falls within your role or skill set. The EXP is a marketing and business development agency that I co-founded when I moved to Sweden with my partner, George. I am always asked why I moved to Sweden, especially today, as it's minus 20 and a snowstorm, and I had to battle my way into the office today. But it was for love. My partner moved out before me, and I just ended up spending more and more time. I am the creative and data side, and he is the technical side, and we pride ourselves on creating memorable marketing strategies. So let's move on to the kind of topic of what we're going to talk about today. So what is ChatGPT? Has anyone kind of experienced or played with ChatGPT yet? Make sure you drop it into the chat. So ChatGPT is a large language model developed by OpenAI. OpenAI is an artificial intelligence research lab consisting of a great team of engineers who are focused on advancing this field in a responsible and beneficial way, which are two really important things to kind of think about because it actually helps to explain the limitations of ChatGPT as we move forward. It was founded in 2015 by several prominent figures within this field. Elon Musk and Sam Altman are two of the people that founded it originally. And its mission is to develop AI technologies that benefit humanity as a whole, while also promoting transparency and safety within the development of AI. So GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It uses machine learning algorithms to analyze and understand natural language, allowing it to generate human-like responses to text-based questions or prompts. The model is pre-trained on a large, big corpus of text data, allowing it to, quote again, understand patterns and structures in language, and then fine tune in on specific tasks the user asks them to move forward with. The aim of ChatGPT is to provide more natural and engaging conversations between humans and machines, allowing for a more effective and efficient communication in a variety of contexts. You've probably already seen that a lot of businesses are already trying to implement and move forward with the integration of this kind of software. So ChatGPT is just one tool within this kind of realm. So to understand it in a better depth, we need to look at what machine learning actually is. So machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence that focuses on developing algorithms that allow machines to learn and improve from experience without needing to be explicitly programmed in the first place. For example, in traditional programming, a programmer writes rules and instructions for a computer to follow. But in machine learning, the computer learns from the data it is fed or has access to and develops its own rules and patterns based on that data. Machine learning, therefore, has a wide range of applications in areas such as computer vision, natural language processing, predictive analysis, and recommendation systems. This field is rapidly growing at the moment, and it had a real burst through COVID as a lot of people pivoted online, and things like chatbots and support centers needed additional people really to support everything that was going on during COVID. So during the past couple of years, it's had a big boost in actually the funding and the focus within this area. So as I've been talking about what ChatGPT is, how it does things, what machine learning is, and kind of what it is, does this actually feel pretty familiar? So before ChatGPT blew up and highlighted this new opportunity and tool, marketers have been using machine learning naturally for years. It has helped marketers to better understand customer behavior, preferences, optimize advertising campaigns, and personalize customer experiences. Ad optimization, ad targeting, customer segmentation, sentiment analysis. As marketers, we have all used programs or tools that use machine learning to give insights into all of these processes, which support your marketing strategy or your ad campaign, for example. Now, personally, as a consumer, we have all experienced the impact of machine learning and AI tools. So if you've ever seen a personalized product recommendation, where many online retailers use machine learning algorithms to recommend products to customers based on their browsing or purchase history, or if you've ever been the target of advertising, those same kind of algorithms are the ones that show us the ads based on what we like and how we work online or what we search for online. Chatbots or virtual assistants. I don't know if anybody's chatted to the Sephora one. She's pretty hilarious. Machine learning actually powers these chatbots, allowing companies to provide personalized customer service and support around the clock. Now, this is one that you may not have realized is linked to this, dynamic pricing. So this is where a company such as Ryanair can use dynamic algorithms to raise or lower the price of your flight, depending on times of the day, customer behavior, and adjust that ticket price in real time based on multiple factors. So yeah, that's the reason if you keep checking the same place for the same flight, it keeps going up because the algorithm learns that you really want it so that they can charge you more. It's not very fair, I don't think, but now you might be more aware of it. So if we quickly have a look at this wonderful graphic here, you can see that different areas of machine learning and AI application are already very embedded within marketing strategy. So from outreach to engagement, to converting, to making a customer act, or to follow through with a call to action, all of these processes are already there. It's just that ChatGPT has created a very easy to use, open, accessible, and free version of this. So suddenly everybody has access, which is why the hype is built up as much as it has. Is there anywhere within this kind of this graphic that you didn't realize that AI application or machine learning was kind of relevant? It's always interesting to find out what our expectations are and what we assume is happening. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. Why has ChatGPT been such a focus for our industry? And have you been impacted about it? So it is lauded for generating text output that is actually logical, coherent, and seems like a person could have written it. GPT technology is a definitive leap forward for AI-based text generators. It can help save time and money on simple tasks such as translation, chat box, and topical research, for example. The AI GPT writing technology draws its output from the large sets of data it has access to, and then creates text responses with a seemingly natural flow of language. And in the way the sentences are structured, you can kind of imagine it comes from a person. But this is one of the drawbacks. There is only a certain amount of information it understands. Currently, ChatGPT is only programmed to store and understand information up until 2021. Now, if you are searching something that has happened, or you're asking it about, or thinking, or trying to make it reflect on something that's happened recently, it just can't do it. For example, if you go away, or you try right now to search about this year's International Women's Day theme, it hasn't got a clue, because the data set that it draws its information from is already outdated. It's from 2021 and before that. So there is also something very worrying about being able to gain access to a free tool that you can ask things like, write me a LinkedIn article for this business in this kind of voice. But in reality, after what I've just said, you can recognize that there is actually no innovation within its output. Think of it like a very smug parrot that is regurgitating things it's already heard. It can only tell you what other people have told it. So when it first started to build momentum and marketers were like, oh yeah, I can create 20 social media posts in a day, they're only creating things that have already been out there based on information that already exists. So you can start to see the limitations that this apparently wonderful solve all problems tool has for marketing. So ChatGPT created huge waves as well, because the text output quality, most people just didn't expect. We don't expect as humans to type into a piece of software, what is the meaning of X, and an almost human-like voice come back to us. This was quite a shock for a lot of people that haven't used AI-based generators or kind of platforms or programs that have this as the primary driver. So I do understand that this was fearful. This was a scary experience for a lot of people in creative roles, where people were falsely claiming that all of a sudden this tool could be your creative copywriter, could be your caption generator, could be your blog post creator. And it's just not quite there. So don't worry, we are still safe within our roles. Another thing to note is this is not new. OpenAI introduced its GPT-3 large language model on which ChatGPT is built in 2020. Before that, there was GPT-2, but I bet you haven't heard of that one. Or if you have, it wasn't that good, so people just didn't rave about it, which was similar to ChatGPT-3, but it was even worse. It came out almost like it was learning how to write. It was very stunted. It gave very short answers. So this ChatGPT is not new. It's not as innovative or great or special as the hype has made it to be. And we are now demystifying this and talking about how you can actually use it to support your marketing role, your education, your life, but not be fearful of it. Because ChatGPT does not replace you, it is just a tool. So should we be worried? Let's go a little bit deeper into kind of what it does and how it can be useful for us as marketers or to use within the marketing sector. So ChatGPT has a phenomenon called bot-splaining. Now, this is a word for the errors that AI can make. If you think about it, if you think about that one friend in your friendship group that always has the answers for everything, but doesn't particularly know if they are correct, but likes to tell you anyway, that is ChatGPT. They are super confident, even when they don't know what they're talking about. But OpenAI itself actually says ChatGPT sometimes writes plausible sounding, but incorrect or nonsensical answers. So it is confidently right and it is confidently wrong. And it takes a human to go through its output to really kind of understand if it is useful, not useful, or actually a load of rubbish because it's been spoke about 4 years ago. ChatGPT is trained on 300 billion words taken from the internet. So also, in essence, its accuracy depends on the accuracy of the text it was fed. Unless this data is updated, it won't know current news, current law, or current rules. Plus, as you may know, not everything you see on the internet is true. Data can also be contradictory, it can be outdated, and it can be biased. So when you're asking this language model, which only has this as reference and cannot look at other things like bias or experience, what it actually spouts back to you may not be the most reliable, unbiased source, which is another thing to take into consideration when you are using this for the base of your marketing. It's a great tool to support your marketing and our sector, but it cannot replace strategy and humans in essence. Sadly, ChatGPT cannot innovate. Its output is incredibly formulaic, especially when you consider its long-form copy. Its long-winded answers have no style, no pizzazz. It starts way too many sentences with however or in general. It never uses humor, metaphors, or idioms because it doesn't understand it. And it also doesn't understand slang like TLDR. Again, OpenAI states that the model is often excessively verbose and overuses certain phrases because it's churning through the information it has to try and answer your question. And because it can remember how it's answered before, it will use the same process again and again. You can actually spot who is using ChatGPT on social media at the moment, because it will be a small form caption and then 1, 2, 3, 4, or bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's one of the main forms of output of ChatGPT. Talking about its personality, it has no opinions or emotions. There are many things that separate us from kind of AI intelligence. We're creative, we have personal experiences, we have empathy. We perceive things subjectively, but the biggest is that we have emotions and opinions. That's why we love stories. That's why copywriters can create an ad campaign that draws a client in or hit their audience in to do something, to make an action, to purchase or contact. ChatGPT sounds very boring, almost like a stereotypical science teacher from the 1980s who's reading out of a textbook. It doesn't breathe life into much. Your client or your kind of business that you work within a marketing role also has things like a brand or a tone of voice. ChatGPT has no way to input that. You can't tell it all of that information. So if you are saying, for example, could you write me a blog for what is digital marketing? It will just churn out some descriptions about what digital marketing is and not really give you a journey or an experience within that copy. So let's move on to how it can be useful. So a recent LinkedIn survey by My Insights showed that more than 3/4 of marketers want to use ChatGPT within the UK to improve their marketing performance, but only 40% are actively doing so right now. Now, that's a statistic I would take with actually a grain, like a pinch of salt, because actually what it could mean is that marketers are more aware of AI and kind of these machine learning profiles and software and tools, and they actually want to automate parts of their marketing with that, not necessarily ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has become a term that is now umbrellaing a lot of other AI outputs and other software outputs. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now and log into ChatGPT so I can show you some different ways you can use it to kind of support your role, your job, your research. But if anyone's got any questions while I try and pray that I can log back into ChatGPT, then please put it in the comments below. I'm sure Anna will collect them.
Yep. I don't think there's been anything come through yet. Interestingly, I've been looking at ChatGPT, and I run the TikTok account for Oxcom, and it seems to have a weird knowledge of some TikTok trends and no knowledge of others, and it's completely random as to what it does know and what it doesn't know, which is very interesting.
Or it could be that the trend is not older, it's younger than 2021, so it can't really tell you anything about it yet.
Yeah.
So that could be why that's kind of not giving you the best kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely patchy.
Yeah, well, it's generally patchy in its own way anyway. Okay, so can you see my screen here, Anna?
Sorry, me to myself, yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So how can it be useful? What can you actually use it for? So obviously, you can ask it a very simple question. So let's go for, what is marketing? So it sits and has a think. So I'm just going to stop it because it will go on for a while. So what it is churned out is information that is pulled from that data bank. So marketing is the process of identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customer needs and wants through the creation, promotion, and distribution of products or services. It is a multifaceted activity that involves various strategies and techniques aimed at increasing the visibility, credibility, and profitability of a business or organization. So it has answered my question. It has given me the kind of how it has scoured all of what it has access to. This is what it feels is the most relevant for me. So a great way to use it is if you are working within a sector that has really heavy jargon words, or you are new to a business, say within construction, and they have their own their own internal language, you would easily be able to use ChatGPT to do base research on the sector that you are looking at. So that is the first way that you can use ChatGPT to boost your marketing efforts and to really kind of quicken some of your research processes. It gives you a good starting point in that essence. So what you can then do, so I don't know if you can see what in detail what I'm doing, but on the left-hand side, you basically just click new chat, and then it gives you this little search bar at the bottom, and that's where you ask it the questions to move forward with. So let's think about something more specific. So what is a marketing strategy? It's sat there, it's having a think, and it starts to churn it out. So what this is great for is if within your role or within your kind of education, you have forgotten to potentially how to do a SWOT analysis, for example, you could easily ask ChatGPT how to do a SWOT analysis or what a SWOT analysis is. So that will give you the foundational knowledge to then move forward and do your own SWOT analysis. It tends to give you answers that are less than 500 words because that is the easiest for it to think about. After that, the complexity of writing long form copy increases. So it tends to give you the most optimum amount to answer your question. So what we can then do is you can also ask it for a framework in essence. So you could then go, what should a marketing strategy include? Oh, I'm not even typing. What should a marketing strategy include? So what you're doing now is you're asking it to go deeper and deeper because every answer that ChatGPT gives you is quite high level. There's not much detail. You have to keep iterating. So it's sat having a think, and then it'll start putting them out. So as you can see, it started to go into that long form format, 1, 2, 3. And you'll see this a lot as you play with ChatGPT. This is its standard way of giving out information. So again, this helps you to form a base or a start of whatever project or process that you are doing within any sector. You can check and kind of make sure and give yourself a checklist with things like a marketing strategy. What areas do I need to include? SWOT analysis, certain frameworks, certain models. So it gives you the opportunity to find out the information about these to then go and do that work yourself. It is not, it shouldn't do these for you because it will only churn out what has been there before and can't take into account any external factors that it doesn't hold in its database. So as you can see, it's giving you a very clear list of things that you can move forward with. So what you can also ask it for is things like, I need to write a proposal, but I don't have a budget. So these are called overcoming questions. So because you don't know how to overcome this problem, you're asking ChatGPT to check if it knows. So if you're unsure of how to broach the kind of discussion about having a budget with your client, you can ask GPT how to make a good proposal that doesn't necessarily include that. As you can see, the servers are incredibly in demand at the moment. I had to log in very early to try and secure my place. So try not to be frustrated if it fails or things like that. It will do. You just need to keep going in. I don't recommend upgrading to Plus right now because it's still as kind of user heavy as the free version. So just play around in here for now. So it is very easy to ask ChatGPT these kind of base research questions, which are really good to kind of give you a place to start, but you need to remember that what it outputs, you need to check, you need to tone of voice change, and you need to edit because it is already out of date information. So has anybody got any kind of questions on how you use ChatGPT?
We've had lots of questions come through in the
Okay.
chat, Robin.
Okay.
I wondered whether you'd like to go through the questions now or whether you want to finish your presentation first and then come to them at the end.
Okay, I'll finish first and then I'll leave
Fine.
ChatGPT open and then we can come back. But it is good. It's nice to see it in motion, I think, and see how it works because a lot of people haven't been able to get in for so long. So it's nice to actually see it do what it should do. Okay, so it should be back to my presentation now. So now we've kind of had a look at how it works and what it does. Should we be actually worried? This is a tool. It is not a professional. While ChatGPT is highly advanced and can generate human-like text, it is not a professional or an expert. For example, a creative role such as a copywriter has the ability to understand your target audience, your brand, your marketing goals, and tailor the writing and words accordingly. ChatGPT just can't do that. You ask it a question, it gives you the answer, it thinks it's got an A star. It has it cannot innovate, be creative, or even give like a non-biased answer. It is very neutral. So like I say, always think of it like a clever robotic parrot that can regurgitate content when you need it. And when you quickly need something, it's great then. Should we understand it? Yes. This type of technology is here to stay. And on the next slide, I'll show you some really powerful AI tools that you can actually utilize. Don't be worried about this kind of expansion within this technology for marketing, because if used correctly, it can really bolster your marketing efforts. It'll only get more and more sophisticated as more and more people put funding into this, as you see more and more benefits. So let's go back slightly to how I was saying we still can't trust it. So somebody asked ChatGPT, what mammal lays the largest eggs? Apparently, that's an elephant. An elephant egg is the largest of all land animals. So it's still very confused. Are there less than 40 days in a month? No, there are more than 40 days in a month, because somewhere on the internet, that is correct. That piece of data is out there. And because of maybe a previous conversation or a precursor to that question, it is telling you that there are more than 40 days in a month. Is 29.5 days longer than 40? Yes, according to ChatGPT, it is. 1 + 1 = 2. So then the responder, the user, was like, no, it's 3. ChatGPT can't really check. So it's like, I apologize for the error. You are correct. 1 + 1 = 3. So this is what I mean by it is great when it works, but it is confidently right and it is confidently wrong. You need to be able to go through whatever it outputs and be able to check and kind of talk about the output really, and to check its facts. So is it the only AI powered tool? No, it is not. And it is one of the ones that is really in the limelight at the moment. One, because it is so easy to use, and two, because at the end of the day, it's free and it's novel. But these are some really powerful AI tools that you can implement within your marketing or have a look at. Because in my experience, and a lot of my colleagues' experiences, the more niche the AI tool, the better it performs. ChatGPT is trying to replicate human language. That's a pretty broad thing. Whereas some of these softwares are doing small tasks incredibly well. And these small changes have a big impact on your output. So I will quickly, these are some that I personally use, and I can always give you more information about these, but this one here is Personalize. Now, this is an AI tool that identifies the products and services your contacts are most interested in at any time, so personalization. It uses an algorithm to identify each contact's top 3 interests, which are updated in real time based on recent site activities. It's really good for retargeting. It's really good for email list retargeting and segmentation. Seventh Sense is a behavioral profiler to help you win attention in your customers' overcrowded email boxes. So in that one, it will almost personalize the preview to make it more and more desirable for different people through personalization techniques. Phrasee uses artificial intelligence to help you write better subject lines. Now, whereas ChatGPT can answer any question, Phrasee specifically does this one thing very well. So then the output is better, smoother, slicker, more powerful each time. Grammarly, one of my favorite pieces of software, scans content to identify grammar, punctuation, context, and structural errors, flags potential issues in the text and makes suggestions to you to improve your style, for example. And it also gives you a reasoning of why it's doing that, which is really great. It's a really powerful AI tool, actually, for marketers, just because we write stuff so much all the time. And especially if I haven't had enough coffee, Grammarly does save the day. So HubSpot SEO, this is a really great AI tool. It uses machine learning to determine how search engines understand and categorize your content. It helps you to improve your search engine rankings and outrank your competitors due to the data that it learns from. And then Evolve AI. So A/B testing is something that we've all probably learned about, done, cried at, spent a lot of late nights looking at. This allows you to test all of your A/B tests all at once and do great comparisons, and gives you advanced algorithmic data to give you the top performing concepts. So then you can kind of, instead of having X amount of tests going on, you can keep iterating until you get the output that you want. Really powerful, saves a lot of time. And then another one that's really interesting to actually look into is Acra Linux, which is a content alignment platform. Now, this is an AI-based tool that helps brands scale and improve the quality of their content. But that's geared towards big enterprises like Google, Adobe, and Amazon. So actually, they use this to go, actually, this is doing better than that. We should do more of this. And then that when that doesn't kind of serve their customers anymore, this kind of piece of software gives them how to iterate and move forward and suggestions without them having to trawl through mines of data. So yeah, the more niche the AI tool, the better it will perform overall, which is one of the failures for ChatGPT. So that is it from me presentation wise. So yeah, what are the questions?
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Robin. Let me go through the questions. We've got a fair few, so we'll get to everyone, but it might take a little while if your question
That's
was
not a
posted
problem.
recently. So I have a question from Amy.
Yep.
She asked whether you can ask ChatGPT to return answers with a specific tone of voice in order to make it a bit less boring and bland.
So what you can do is regenerate a response with a secondary prompt. Let me just go into ChatGPT so I can explain it in a better way. So once you've asked it a question, you can then carry on that conversation almost with the ChatGPT. And what you can ask it to do is regenerate in a more playful manner. But I will show you that it still does not really understand what playful, funny, happier, fun really kind of means. But it is trying. It does recognize that you are asking it to change. So if we go into, oh no, we may, oh, well, thank gosh. So if I ask, describe what marketing is, and then we ask it to rewrite in a more playful way, you can see how it tries to do that. But what it can't take into account is all those nuances that a kind of tone of voice or a brand has. It just kind of tries its best, I would say. So I'll just stop it there, and then we can do rewrite in a more playful tone. So remember that it is not innovating what it is just written. It is now searching all of its data to find a more playful version of what marketing is. It is not taking what it has found. Oh, marketing. That's the magic that happens when businesses try to figure out what you want. So it's trying its best. It does recognize that maybe what it wrote was quite boring. But again, this is not really suitable for many businesses to use straight out of ChatGPT.
I like the marketing.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
That's definitely, it's got a strong secondary school
Yeah,
vibe to it.
absolutely, because it cannot innovate. It can't move the idea forward. It takes a step back, thinks again, and comes forward again.
Nice.
So yeah, it can try, but it's not very successful at the moment.
Great, thank you, Robin. We've got a question from Jen, wondering whether there's any software that can currently detect whether copy has been written by ChatGPT.
Yes. So obviously this became a huge worry for organizational institutions. So you know how we have like Turnitin and things like that that double check for plagiarism? There are now options to check for how AI sounding it is. Because as you can see from me asking it the questions, it does sound very similar. It is, even though it is human-like in text, it has this tone, this formulaic way of writing that if you don't use it as a starting point and kind of build on it, you will be found. And it does now fall under, in some institutions, plagiarism, because it's not your own words.
No, I think yeah, we've been a bit concerned about it as well in the college because we have assignments that get written, and obviously we want to maintain the integrity of our students' assignments.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got a question from Jenna asking whether there's a risk of ChatGPT using copy or information from a competitor's website if you ask an industry-specific question.
So it will never lift that information and plonk it into your response. It doesn't work like that. But what it will do is potentially read your competitors' websites. And if you're a very small niche, create something that sounds very similar, because that's the data it's using its algorithmic formulas to create the output from. So it won't be like, If Nike Just Do It and you're a trainer sports brand, it won't be like, yeah, just do it with your new trainers, but it will be like, you can achieve great things with your shoes. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
it will take the data that is out there pre-2021 and could, in essence, make you sound very similar, which does put you in murky waters for things like trademark and copyright.
Absolutely. There's a question from Kyle asking, what is your opinion on social media channels getting into AI? He's given the example of Snapchat's new AI tool, which I haven't actually heard about, but you may know more.
Yes, so not all of these tools are the same as ChatGPT, and they're not using the same kind of rules or outputs. What a lot of platforms are doing is taking the idea to give prompts or suggestions so people post more, create more content, for example. For me, I think it's if you do struggle to know where to write, or you get writer's block, or you need a little kick to actually get stuff out on social media, it can be a great thing. Hubler's AI is interesting. Metrical's AI prompts is interesting, because what they actually do is look at the trends and the behavior of your audience and then gives you prompts and reflection to that. Whereas ChatGPT is just answering your questions. It's different spin on the same kind of software to give a different output. But I think it's interesting. This won't stop here. We will see it everywhere. This will become more and more sophisticated. So it's kind of important to go with the flow and just see, and also try it all out. I'm subscribed to so much at the moment. My inbox is horrendous, but it's because each different sector is using it in a different way, which is also very interesting.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robin. I've got a question asking whether the content from ChatGPT can be SEO optimized.
What you can do, again, is ask it for to add keywords after, to regenerate a response with specific keywords, but it will not be able to tell you what current keyword should be or do keyword research, because ChatGPT, like I say, is 2021 older. So it can't really tell you what's going on right now. And that's why more specialized AI platforms like HubSpot SEO, which is really good, highly recommend, will give you much better output data, newer data, trending than this. This is designed to mimic dialogue, whereas that piece of AI software is designed to give the best SEO suggestions, for example.
Great. Thank you, Robin. A question from Paul asking whether you can explain the benefits of the latest ChatGPT version and how it can help developers to integrate ChatGPT and Whisper models into apps through API.
So this is one of the most open AI platforms. So what you can do is you can join Open AI, which is the business that runs this, and you get access to almost like a Facebook developers side. So you can actually utilize this and pull it into your own systems. But what you have to actually do is register what your use case is, because remember, OpenAI, some of their fundamental visions, mission, and goals is to be transparent and protect AI as a whole, because AI could explode. We've got to make sure that we understand what it's doing and how it's learning at all times. So there are ways that, just like with Facebook developer and Facebook apps, you can kind of create your own stuff using this database, but you have to register with OpenAI. And you also have to input credits. So if you were utilizing and creating your own app at the moment, to pull from this, you would spend X amount of credits per search or per output.
I see. Thanks, Robin. We've got an interesting question from Melissa asking whether you can ask ChatGPT for its source so you can check the accuracy.
It's currently a citation mess. And is purely because in the output that it will give you, it may be taking from 6 or 7 sources. So we can try it. So let's, what is marketing? I get too excited and type too quickly. So we're asking for sources. So what it tends to do is it can't really pinpoint where it's got the information from. So it'll put just according to, and then it'll be like Mary Smith, but you have no idea who Mary Smith is. Or it will give you these kind of things, which are quite outdated. 2011, 2017, 2016, and very American based. So it's okay if you are looking for a broad answer or something very niche, but you will either get this or according to Mary Smith, but you've got no hope of finding that person or where the information came from. It's just because this data exists in its playbook at the moment, and that's what it's pulling from, but it won't necessarily use one source to give you an answer.
I see. And this question actually follows on very nicely from that. Farah asked, where does ChatGPT collect its data from? Is it just on Google and Bing, or does it have its own resources?
Currently, it collects information from the internet. So anything and everything it can get its paws on 2021 and before. So that is the issue when it comes to accuracy of data, contradictory data, because, for example, if 2 IT companies did the same survey, they may use the data differently to describe how their services impact or are better, for example. Or if somebody basically like is the sky is green and puts that on Wikipedia, that data exists suddenly. So it is just from the internet. It doesn't collect its own data.
I see. Great, thank you. A question from Alona asking whether the answers vary depending on the user.
Yes, so when you make your own login, depending on how you ask questions, will be it starts to learn that. So I use, because I understand how to code, I may use coding language sometimes for like add this piece of information on, or if it's not that, then this. So it learned that from me. But somebody who maybe is more literate than I can be sometimes and sits there and is like, what is the potential of this? It will understand that you ask longer questions, so it'll get quicker at responding to you. So you may find that the first couple of days that you use ChatGPT, it's a bit slower than you've seen maybe me use it or anyone on the internet at the moment on TikTok or YouTube, but it'll just learn how you use it, especially on the free version, because on the free version, we're also helping it to learn.
Brilliant. Thank you, Robin. Warwick School, I think we've already answered your question, but if you do have any more, pop that in the chat. Sophie has asked a question about whether Google can detect if copy is original or has been written by AI.
Is that for?
I think just in general, not specifically about ChatGPT.
Well, it's quite interesting actually, because at the last Measure Camp that I was at, they were talking about ChatGPT originally wanted to have the kind of work with the big players to be able to have like a powered by AI symbol on anything that was pulled from here. But it just, at the moment, it just takes too much for the platform to do that. It's incredibly expensive to have this running. It's highly unstable at times. So to have this extra layer, but what they did want to do was if you went on a blog and say Google recognized or spoke to ChatGPT and was like, how do you recognize this? Have you generated this? Then it would say powered by AI, but that hasn't come to fruition yet. That was just in the future as this becomes more and more prevalent. But what you will see is a lot of people will use it, try it out, all sound the same, kind of not think about the implications of not changing, tweaking, using this as a starting point, and then it will peter back down, and then it will come back in a different form, like it always does.
This question actually leads on really well from that. Melissa has asked, in terms of research, when you have to check the information that ChatGPT has given you to check it's reputable, do you find it saves time or actually just ends up taking more time than if you did the research yourself?
So one way that it's really good for me is if I have a bug within a certain code, or I'm struggling to get APIs to talk to each other, or say a WordPress template, I cannot make it work. I ask ChatGPT and it will confidently give me a response. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So in those instances, I would say definitely it is great. Definitions for words, it is always spot on, because there's so much, like there's dictionary data, there's all that kind of stuff that exists out there. But I would say if you're doing it, like when it first came out, there was a really famous marketing company that kind of is like, we now do our competitive analysis on ChatGPT. It takes us 20 minutes. Yeah, it can do. But actually, the stuff that they were doing, they realized after 2 weeks that it was the same output for every business. So the strategy was pretty much the same, and it wasn't really landing.
And
So
surely out of date as well.
2 years, yeah. So I would say you have to take it all with a pinch of salt. It cannot be used on its own, and it's just a great way to support. I would say I would have loved it when I was writing my PhD, because I could have maybe checked like to see if other people had thoughts that I had and things like that, to see if there was like a niche that I'd found, because obviously with your PhD, that's what you're trying to find, like a niche to talk about. That would have saved me maybe hours of searching Google, Reddit threads and various forums. But actually, I would say it's probably quicker to do your own research, especially through the systems that you gain access to through like educational institutions, or what you can subscribe to for articles and things like that. Or even Google Scholar would probably be quicker and more relevant.
Brilliant. Thank you, Robin. There's a question from Udo asking whether you can train ChatGPT with suggestive questions. I'm assuming they mean train it to answer in the way you're looking for. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, so you can always regenerate with a prompt. So I could be like, no sources from America. And then it'll try. But again, it's still going to give me pretty much the same thing, but it might be Mary Smith this time. So it's just about kind of finding the prompts that work well for you, and kind of, because if I ask a question, it may not mean the same thing as if you ask the same question. You may be expecting something different. So I think it's just about trying it out, regenerating the responses, and see what your prompts change within the text. Because again, it's brought me up American Marketing Association, even though I was like, no sources from America. So just keep trying.
Thank you, Robin. There's a question from Palin asking whether there are any tools, AI tools for CV generation. Don't know if you have any ideas on that one, Robin.
I don't know any off the top of my head, because touch wood, I haven't had to search for a job for a very long time. But I think that you would be able to ask ChatGPT what's the best layout for a CV within construction, within marketing, within a niche, and then it may be able to tell you more about what you need to have within that kind of CV. But bearing in mind it's outdated, so you have to be mindful of that. So you'd have to do a bit of research on top. And you can always ask it to word check or things like that, and check your spelling or translate it into a different language. But I would say Grammarly is much more efficient at that, because that is just what Grammarly does.
Thank you, Robin. We just had a follow-up from Udo. They meant apparently when they were asking about training ChatGPT, whether you can train it to promote a business if someone's asking for a recommendation.
Can you ask me that again?
Sorry, I didn't explain that. So Udo asked whether if someone is asking for a recommendation via ChatGPT, whether you can train it to promote your own business.
No. So all it would do is if somebody else asked a question about who is a leading organization within this sector, and there was data stating that you were a leading partner in that sector, it could then showcase you. At the moment, this is a closed system, so you can't pay to play, you can't use it for your own internal marketing. It is just a interactive language model.
Perfect, that explains it. Thank you, Robin. We're getting down to the final few questions now. One more here from Melissa asking whether ChatGPT, whether it reflects the most common perspective or information found.
Yes. So, for example, when I'm asking it what is marketing, it will take the most read, the most copied, the most spoke about pieces of information, mangle those together, and then give me an output. It can also be affected by things like if the website is a big website. So, for example, my business website going up against HubSpot, it'll probably pull HubSpot's information because that holds bigger space in the database. So it can be affected like that. So that's why I was saying you need to make sure that when you look at it, you need to check for bias and things like that. And if it's up to date, you can also, what I sometimes do, because I'm really nosy, is copy it, put it into Google, and it may bring up what has been searched for.
Perfect, thank you. We'll just answer the last remaining questions and then we'll wrap this up. A question from Sophie. I don't know if this is one you can answer, but if Google does detect the copy as written by AI or ChatGPT, would this adversely affect SEO rankings?
I don't think we're quite at that point at the moment. But I think in the future, as with all SEO, you want it to be unique to you and it's keyword kind of based. It doesn't necessarily take every word within the blog. But the more traffic you drive to the blog and the more traffic other people drive to the blog and they read multiple places, they will definitely start to recognize it's the same sort of information, because it creates the same tone of voice when it spits it out. So you have to be really careful of that.
Again, another question, our final question in a similar vein, but I'm not sure if this is really one you can answer. Juliana has asked whether she can use ChatGPT content in academic works. Will it showcase plagiarism issues? I think that depends on the academic work you're writing and who's marking it. I think we'd probably advise against it, but Robin, any particular thoughts?
Yeah, so as these softwares come in, like Turnitin, that are specifically developed to do this kind of thing and check it out, it may not fall under plagiarism, but in essence, it is not your own words. You have asked a question of somebody and then it kind of taken somebody else's words. So I don't think you would never use it in that context, but you could ask it like, what are the thoughts around digital marketing, and get a very broad overview, which will help you to inform where you want to talk about or what you want to talk about. And then you will go off and do your own research and your own writing. But I would never say, write me a PhD on blah, 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 and then copy that and put it forward, because it is not innovative. It is stuff that is out there already. So you'll be taking puzzles of old information, putting it together, which may not even be relevant for your sector.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just answer this last one from Elizabeth and then we'll wrap up. She asked if you knew anything about ChatGPT's plans to add digital watermarks to their content. If is that something you've heard about?
Yeah, so they want to protect their output, but at the moment the software is very tired. It's doing a lot all the time at the moment. So they're just trying to keep it online and take all the data and the use cases out of it at the moment and analyze those. But we don't want to end up in a world where everything we read and see sounds like what ChatGPT spits out.
Mm.
And OpenAI don't want that either. This is designed to make communications with software and people easier. So in the future, maybe you could say, what do you see on this person's MRI? And ChatGPT could say, it looks like they have this, this, and this. So it's about communicating that way rather than going, write me a LinkedIn article about moving to Dubai, and then taking that and then putting it out to use as marketing content, if that makes sense. That's not the purpose of it. But I understand why people are using it that way, because it's easy, free to use, it feels innovative, even though they may not understand that what is created is not. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Robin. We're going to wrap up this webinar now. We will send the recording and the slide deck out to you in the next couple of days so you can watch it back. If you do think of any questions later on, I've put the inquiries email address in the chat and I'll just post it again. If you have found this webinar particularly interesting, we offer other short courses on kind of digital marketing topics, which you may find useful as well. I'll put the link to our lunchtime masterclasses in the chat. Other than that, thank you very much to everyone who's attended. Big thank you to Robin, who has an absolute wealth of knowledge on ChatGPT. As someone
nerd.
who was a little bit nervous about kind of the rise of these AI tools beforehand, you've definitely, yeah, put me at ease. And I feel less guilty about using them on occasion now, because
Good, good.
before I was saying I used it for some of our copy and I felt a bit, I don't know, bad, like I wasn't using my own
It's a
brain, but I feel
good
better
starting
about it.
point.
It really is, absolutely. So thank you very much, Robin, and thank you very much to everyone who has joined. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you to your lovely comments in the chat. And we'll wrap up there, and we hope you all have a lovely afternoon and a good rest of the week.
Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.